Good morning again,
Yeah,
Peter.
good.
Very nice to have you here again in another interview in English.
It's great. It's great. It's just a very dynamic week. So it's just,
Of course. We are not on our more cheerful moment. But it's fine. It's fine. This is the energy is going down. That's why we need to stop the season soon. But we still have some guests coming on, and we are gonna produce more interviews with them. So this is keep going. I'm very happy keep having this structure and this pace because I think we are making some sort of an impact, and people are still coming to our small channel. So glad for
yeah,
that.
yes.
Well,
And
let's
last week we had more than 50 people getting in interest. So I think the season three will be just skyrocketing. I'm just looking forward because we already start preparing the plan for the season three. So that's really will be promising, I think.
maybe national TV will contact us. Who knows? Fantastic. Okay, no more overdue. Let's present our guest today. He's a civil engineer and he works for a standardization body. So let's gonna talk today about norms. Let's see what he has to say. Aitor, welcome to the BIM Cafe.
Hello,
Hello,
thanks a lot.
hello
Thanks,
everyone.
Pedro. Thanks, Enrique.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. So as I said, Aitor, civil engineer's formation, but he works for a standardization the company. You can see on the back the bodies of the standardization norms in Spain and also worldwide. And we're going to talk today about how to relate those standards and the norms which are necessary to run BIM properly, and the correlation between the public and the private also scopes in the construction world. So let me just get done with the music. We finish with the presentation and let's start with our talk. Okay. So let's present here more or less the draft for the guidance we're going to have for the interview. From there, as always, we'll try to cover which is all the slide. If not, there's a part number two with Aitor coming next season probably. Alright? I already introduced this because we know that this topic is going to be wide and probably very interesting. So after this, we will have time to cover this within the hour. We go forward for the next interview. So we have here the four main points to do after the presentation. And now I don't want to repeat everything I said all the time. So I thought please present yourself and tell us
Well,
who you are and what is your role inside the standardization world in the Spain Spain bodies.
thanks a lot. Thanks, Enrique. I will present myself. I'm civil engineer, as you said. I work for the Spanish standardization body, in charge of several committees. Today we are talking about BIM. This is one of the ones I have. Recently, we start working on digital twins in the built environment. I'm also the secretariat of the working group that we created in Europe for that topic. Before that, I worked in assessment of conformity in Aitor, it's a certification body. And before that, in software development in a Norwegian company, the software for civil engineering, mainly roads. So this is more or less as a summary who I am. And now we can, if you want, we are going to start talk about, for example, UNE is the Spanish standardization body. The only one we have. In some countries you have, or you might have two, one for electric things and one for non-electric. And as such, we are the representative in European and international standardization bodies, which are where usually BIM standards are made. They are usually made in ISO, which is the international standardization body, and some of them in CEN as European standards. We can go to that later.
But of course.
Just the first question, sorry, just if you look at Europe, if you look at Europe and compare it to the US and compare it to Asia, which are these continents has the most regulations? Is it Europe, Asia, or Americas? Which one is just you think, in your opinion, if you know?
I would say that probably Europe is the most regulated in general, but I'm really not sure because I don't. Standards we can go to that are voluntary and regulations are mandatory. They are interlinked in a way, but how they are developed and how they are used is quite different.
Okay, I'm just always thinking, the regulations usually it's good for some specific period, but they stay very rigid, and then it's just not changing so fast. So when the market change, the regulations not already following as the same speed as the changes of the technology. But that's a good. Okay, sorry, just try to see whether Europe is behind everybody, but I think we are.
No, I wouldn't say behind. If I might point something out, uh, I think that Europe has one good thing, which is European regulations, because it's true that it might constrain in a way innovation, but on the other hand, member states are not allowed to regulate in those fields. So you have a single market. You can provide services or sell your product in all Europe. If you depend on the regulation of each country, it will be harder, even for BIM, which is a service. The service directives are also helping, I think, to provide BIM and other services in Europe. So in a way, it restricts, but in another way, it promotes that you can work in a lot of countries.
You convinced me. Makes sense.
Fantastic. As you can see, Vitor, we have today a different guest. First of all, he's no architect, as pretty much everyone who starts to come to the BIM Cafe, but we're going to talk about different topics. yeah. Well, so let's crack on the presentation. I thought first of all I'm gonna talk about the standardization in BIM and what is so called also the digital twins. Already give a bit of scope of the standards and the what is UNE itself. But if you want to add something, this is highlighting the parts that the standards are voluntary, so they are not regulations which are forced or by norms or by governments. This are voluntary agreements that some companies sort of have sit down the table and say, okay, we're gonna do these things this way. To make it clear, to make it better, and so on. So.
Yes, I just want to highlight that the voluntary part, because many of you will say, hey, I need the standard to make my CE mark on my product. I need it in public procurement. I might need it in a regulation for concrete or anything for my building code. So they are not voluntary. Well, they are when we issue them. There's a table, let's call it. It's a place in which people agree on a document, a methodology, and then we publish it as voluntary. But the government, if they want, because it's their decision, they might use it for certain purposes. For example, when we publish the standard for a CE marking of a product, it's voluntary. But then if the European Commission considers it fits their needs, then they make it mandatory in Europe during a certain time. So this is one of the things I would like to highlight, that is they are voluntary and that the process is open. For example, in our case, in each stage, we published a reference in the official journal saying that the document has started developing, that we have a draft for public consultation, or that it has been published. And any company might join, company or people, individual people, if you are an expert or you are retired, but you still want to, you can participate there and you are invited. And through your standardization body, you have to contact in your country, your body. You can go to Europe or to international bodies to participate there, which I would like to say or to highlight that I think is a great opportunity, because you really know people that knows a lot. It's a great opportunity to learn a lot.
So the table is open to go there and discuss with different people who become part of these organizations and be part of the mission of this voluntary technical document. That's a very nice way to call the standards.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, let's move to the next point here. I'm going to relate it all this with BIM. So there's a few regulations here. We state how we relate the BIM and digital twins to the construction industry from the ISO, ESO, or CAN. So tell us which one are related, how those ones are related with BIM.
Yes, well, the first one is the national standardization body. Each country has its own. In Spain is UNE. And as national standardization body, you participate in the international subcommittee. In this case, the TC59 is construction, and it has a lot of subcommittees dealing with different things related with construction. And subcommittee 17 is BIM, and you can participate there through your national standardization body. And you also have the European Committee. This committee has several working groups, and we in Spain we have the secretariat of the Digital Twins working group, which was just created this year. As you know, it's an ongoing process, the digital twin in the construction. But I would like to highlight something. We talked before about the single market and about how standards might help you to sell your service in a way. When ISO publishes a standard, we decide in Spain if we want to publish it as a Spanish standard or not. The committee meets and decides. It's our decision. But when the European Committee publishes a standard, we don't have any we can vote against that standard. But once published, we have to adopt it, and we cannot make any technical changes on it. So if you have your standard in your language, in your country, you know that if you fulfill that standard in any country, you fulfill it in Spain, because it's the same standard. And we all have the same. And we have to remove from our list of standards anything that is divergent. with that methodology. So that is a way to have a single market of not only of products but also of services. So this is more or less the idea.
Very good.
And how is so? For example, you just said that if the European Committee issue a standard in Spain, we're forced to adapt it, for example, or in France or in Portugal or Poland, whatever. But if it comes from for ISO globally, it's a decision for us to take it. No, but for
Yes.
example, if the European take that ISO and adopt it,
Yes.
there's no way then.
It's like the ISO 19650.
Mm-hmm.
They are European and international standards. As
Okay.
international, we make it at the same time in Europe and in ISO. If it was also only European, then it's our decision to take. But as is both, we have to adopt it and in all Europe. And that creates strange situations. For example, I'm the secretariat of a working group for sustainability of civil engineering works in Europe and in international, in ISO and in CEN. When we publish standards for the same field, which are quite similar but not the same. I can't, even if I want to use the international standard, I have to use the European. Even we produce them both because the needs there are considered different.
Mm-hmm. And there are not overlapping between those committees. For
There
example,
are some overlaps, but the same people. We have the same convener, the same secretary, nearly the same people. But sometimes you can have more requirements in Europe than you can have when other people are on the table. You have all the work there in a way, and they have to apply it. So it has to be more open because construction, you might think that is very different from one European country to other, which is true. But if you add America, Asia, Africa, you just can imagine that it's even wider.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so and all this is kind of a wrap up or published with under this document that Aitor shared with us. Also, the talking about BIM and all the standardizations. We'll put the link of the description of the interview, or so people can also access it and download if they have curiosity about this. But this is something issued by the UNE. I think you were in charge of producing this document, and this is, as I said, wrapping up all the different norms and regulations that come from all those different standardization bodies into one single document for the Spanish market.
Yes, we try to make this kind of. Sorry, Pierre.
I try to, guys. Sorry, just interrupting. I try to listen to you guys, and I'll try to think about the speed, okay? Because for sure, Enrique told you that I'm looking for the productivity for the stuff, which improve the performance of the projects, and also just to find some money to finance the BIM. And when I listen to this. And I think you're completely right. So I agree about the standards. Make sure that you go for this one single market. But if 25 agree on the one letter in the document, take 2 years to get it. If you think about the progress of technology, maybe not in the construction, but if you think, I think it is as well because of the materials and the evolution. The standards are already outdated when they hit the market. So how are we dealing with this? Because the speed of the standard and speed of the market, there are two different speeds, really.
Yes, but in a way, or how I feel it, what you say is completely true. You have to make the standards fit for that. For example, the ISO 19650, the requirements are open enough that you have to define it from your own company, and probably in 2 years it will be valid. You will have to change the processes in your company, but the standard might be valid. You have to be very careful when you set a limit or a value or something that will change. But we try to avoid that. And there are things that are in a way up to the market and others are not. For example, IFC, I agree that you might need more speed in some definitions, but if you don't have something fixed and everybody can define their own new parameters, there will be no communication between software and things. So it's I agree this is a problem, but in a way I want to highlight that you don't need the unanimity. You don't need all the people to vote in favor. we have a weighted process in which you need, I think it's 71% or something like that. So it's
it's only two of us. It's Enrique and me, and we never agreed, right?
No, it also happens there. But there's also a human relation, and and sometimes you are in a table and you want something, the other one other thing, and okay, let's agree that I put this. You are at the end you want to produce a document and you have to find agreements, and
Yeah.
usually happens.
Okay, thanks for answering that. I appreciate that. Interesting.
Fantastic. So we were saying this document, I thought you want to highlight or draft it a bit about all this summary of BIM and standards under this single document.
Yes, well, it contains more or less the state of the art at that time. It was nearly 2 years ago. Not only BIM standards, we try to talk a little bit about GIS, but just a little bit. It's we produce this kind of reports so people can have a wide idea about what we are doing. It's not going into detail, but we have a similar report for cybersecurity or for circular economy, things like that. You have it in our website. The idea is that you know in which committees you can participate and which standards are under development or recently published, and you can decide if you want to use it or not, or you can even participate in the development.
No, this same as the standards, no? They need to be constantly renewed because new standards come, other standards go, and
Yes,
things
the
change.
point is that this is in a way. Let's say I only sit. I really like this committee, the BIM committee, but in general, our task is not to. We don't write the standards. Okay, you do it. People like you that really know the field, and we are somehow helping with the process, helping with things. When we have to write this report, it takes quite a lot of effort because we have to involve a lot of people, and it's different. It's a different process. But it's also a good opportunity to know other things that are related, but you didn't know they exist
Before,
because we are a few engineers here, and many times you don't know that the people in the decks in this desk is doing really something interesting for you. So it's a good opportunity for that.
Fantastic. And now, don't get scared, okay, Pietro? I will tell you don't get scared too. And I thought you need to don't scare us about these following slides. No?
Oh my God.
Well, I'm not sure if you read it, but in the report you can read it. We have to update it. It's 2 years old, but we tried to create a map. We are doing there, or we together in CEN in Europe. They are doing a map of current standards. They are focused on BIM standards. I like to add, for example, GIS or the related standards. This was 2 years ago, and you can see the management information in BIM, the 19650. You can see the containers and nearly probably IFC and nearly everything. The idea is that in a map, it's
a roadmap of all the BIM laws. So I'm
Yes.
gonna ask you something. I don't want to be tough, but is this maybe a reason why BIM hasn't been implemented on the pace we should? No?
It might be, but the idea is, and it's something that I didn't achieve to do, but in this report, but other colleagues are doing, and I might sell after that a link. Is who is the intended user? Many of these standards are not for you. You're an architect. You work with BIM software. Are for BIM developers, so they have to comply with it. You don't really care about what is the many things that works on the infrastructure of BIM. You don't need to know them. So if you have to comply yourself with all these and all the other standards that are referred in these standards, then you will have a huge problem. But that is not the case. Let's say
Yeah, so because mainly there, one of the, let me see on the screen, one of the others standard, which is the Aitor said, they are for software developers who need to connect those databases to people. Okay, this software can do.
We will see an example later. An example of a standard we developed in Spain is based on a European document that you will not use as a standard, but you might, even not knowing it, you might use the data generated with this standard.
Yeah. So one day, a few months ago, I made a mistake. We was like going to the ISO webpage, and I'm gonna take a look of those standards. I'm gonna read like at least the abstract and see what it is. And after a couple of lines, I said, "This is not for me. This is for developers. They're talking about coding, about things I don't understand here. I thought they would this be something about BIM or something."
No, there are some standards that we do not, in general, in the construction sector in Spain, we used to translate the standards. Even in this committee, people usually here speak English, but just in case. But there are some standards we do not translate. We publish it in English because they are intended for developers. And if you are a software developer and don't understand English, you are in a problem. You have a huge problem.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Okay, good. Let's move to the next point of the interview. We're gonna close on something more tangible. So, the CE marking. This is something that is getting a big impact with the new product regulation from the European Union. We're talking about this how to make it digital QR and so on. But it's basically the information we need to have for every single product or material in the construction world. So tell us a bit, Aitor, what you have here, and we'll talk further about the smart CE making and how to make it digital.
Yes. First of all, you've seen CE marking in a lot of places. You have seen it. You have kids. You have seen it in the toys and in
Yeah,
many
our
places.
first memories.
Yes. But when you see that CE mark, it means that this product is safe to use, and it complies with several things. In construction, the meaning is it's quite different. The product might not be safe itself. It has to be safe once installed in the building. You might have an additive that with fire, it creates an explosion. But when you add it with other things and put it in a building, it's completely safe. So in construction, what we do is that we declare parameters tested with the standards. I put a flame in the product and see what happens. And I tell the engineer or the architect, be careful because this is dangerous. But so I just declare information. This is a very important document because the manufacturer has the full responsibility of everything contained in the document. If you go to a judge, there is no doubt about who is responsible. If you have a BIM object and there's a mistake in the file and something happens in your building, who is responsible? The one that provides the BIM object, you because don't check it? Well, you will have to go to a judge and let's see what happens. But in this case, it's completely clear. You have a document signed and the manufacturer assumes full responsibility. So it's a very important document in Europe. But it has a problem. We used to provide it in paper, and now you have PDF, which from my perspective is the same as paper. Okay, it's more ecological because you don't have to print it, but it's not a structure, and then you have to type again, so it's crazy.
It's not digitalization of information. People say,
Yes,
"Yeah,
it's
do you
just
have your product digitally?" Yeah, of course, we have all
yes,
the
of course.
PDFs and the
I have a
catalogs.
picture of the product. I took a
Yeah.
picture. I can send it by WhatsApp. Well,
Yeah.
we're not thinking on that. So in next slide, this was a concern for many years, and here what I try to manufacturer currently is selling with a CE marking. He doesn't need anything more. And someone arrives to the factory and don't worry, and a lot of things, software concepts, a lot of things came down. And if you click again,
Yep.
there's also additional problems. You have objects in BIM that are not compatible with newer versions, which is, from my perspective, is crazy. Many products don't need a geometry. What is the geometry of cement or an additive or even concrete that you build it on site? What is the meaning of the property? What is thermal conductivity? I don't know. It depends on the test. It depends if you measure it with this distance, with this different it depends on a lot of things. And in Europe in general, it's not allowed to declare information contained in the CE marking in a different place. So you are putting in a different place. So you might have even problems with legal requirements. So due to these problems, in the next slide, the industry proposed a solution a few years ago, as you can see, which is make a digitalization of the CE marking. You can have your BIM object with the geometry and other things, but the data, you should have it in an XML, very simple file with all the information of the CE marking. And you know that this data, the manufacturer is responsible. You are safe in a way. So how they do it? They go to the European Committee of Standardization to send.
Okay.
If you please, then that it has rolled out, and the next one I think is that one. Then we start with a European document. I participated in there, which was we define a format. This is the standard I mentioned that you might use it even not knowing in a future, and then we create the first adoption of this document because this is this is not a standard. This is other type of document. We create a Spanish standard, and we are working, I think, quite hard on this. What is the goal, the idea? That manufacturers, they can still provide a PDF because they has the logo and it's human readable and has a lot of advantages. But for software purposes, they should provide a digital file and then you can, if you want, you can upload it or merge it with IFC or with anything you need. You can make direct calculation. So this is more or less our idea.
Yeah, for me, I'm showing now that. Sorry, Peter, what to say?
Yeah, sorry. So just a question, I'm the guy who is just sitting on the construction site. How will benefit this? I'm just the guy who just receiving the new construction elements which I need to put in the building. Is there any benefits for me, when I'm really just having some possibility to benefit? Is there? This is only for engineers and for the architects, or this is something what I can use on the construction site as well?
The idea is to use it. I didn't put a slide for that, but for example, when you receive the truck with any product, they can give you a paper, and then you should check. It's your obligation to check that the content of the declaration of performance fits the requirements of your work. If you do not do it and the product is not fit, it's not the responsibility of the manufacturer, it's yours. But many people just see the CE marking and say, go on, but you have to check it. And it takes a lot of work. Now you can just scan a QR because you can have it, access this file, which might be in the server, and then you can check it with your regulation or the regulation of all other country or your requirements on site, because you can have an XSD file with your regulation. You match it with the XML, and you directly can check if this product is compliant or not. And then you can automatically store it because we just with your mobile phone. So it will save a lot of time. And in addition, you can add it to your building digital logbook, and you can make searches. You, for example, can say, I want to know all the cements that are cement type 2, and you get it. But with PDF, you will never get it. You will have a lot of PDF stored, but you cannot make that kind of searches.
Okay, so what you're saying is just thanks to the identification of all of the products and materials, I can have the automatic logbook on which the materials are coming to the site, and I can have the automatic message saying just this is not good one, it's not going, because I will not check it when I'm sitting on the construction. I can guarantee you that I will not check it with the norms. Okay, so I will have 7 trucks coming one after another. With the different stuff, and I'm just sure that I will not check it.
No, not with the norms. You have to check it only with the regulation. For example, if
Yeah,
the compression strength has to be whatever, you have to check it.
Yeah, that you have the 5 trucks klaxoning and horning and saying, "Hey,
yes, I know that. That's what I mean. That is useful. Just if you guys you can just do it. And even for concrete, we are thinking, and you have the plates, the plate number. You have it in a document. At least in Spain, you have to issue before or with the truck. If you have it before, you can check with the plate and say the concrete arrived 1 hour after it was created, so it's less than an hour and a half. So I can use it in my site.
Makes sense. No, it's a good one. That's a good opportunity for all of the automations. And yeah, that's a good one. Yes.
This is for me.
Let's see what happens. We are still fighting. It's still an ongoing process.
Yeah, this is the key thing here is to make the things machine readable. All the norms we were talking before about they're not relevant for architects, engineers, blah, blah, they are for software developers, because they need to have the access to that data. And if you provide PDFs, and provide, of course, papers by PDF, they cannot read it. You still need to type all those data down. So making machine readable with this smart CE making, it will be a huge opportunity for the market.
Yeah, for the manufacturer, you can have a language independent. You have a language independent file. You just use your mobile phone and you decide the language, because all the terms are officially translated by the national standardization bodies of each country. So it might also help manufacturers to sell abroad.
Perfect. And now this is a very interesting slide, in my opinion, because we are summarizing very well what we say here. Something very important, and it will might scare a lot of manufacturers, is this 2 words that you said before on the previous slides: full responsible of the issue of the CE marking. And if we go for digitalization, for the issue of those XML or HTML files with information digitalized there. So when you are becoming responsible of issuing a document, you really need to think through if you want to do it. And what does it mean to be full responsible? So all this green, I hope you guys can read it properly, but all these green tasks that you can see on the image, they're like testing, calculation, validation. This is like on the manufacturer side. They need to run all those calculations and tasks beforehand, and then create the first box, which is creates this DOP, this digital DOP XML file with information. So I say, okay, I test my product, everything is as I say, and you scan this code and you have the information ready to put into your phone, into your laptop or whatever, and check through quickly. Not just provide you a PDF of 70, 50 pages, which just no one will read it through.
That's exactly the idea. I would highlight that I work also in product certification in going to factories, and I think they are even happy to have full responsibility because it comes with the presumption of conformity. That means that and public administration and any economic actor should give presumption of conformity to this declaration that the performance declared is good and valid, which allows them to sell in any country. So I think that what you have to do and what they do is to have a lot of care with the testing and with everything to really be sure that you do the things all right.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is with digitalization, because then you feel that you lose control because you look and see what you are signing physically in a paper and then you scan it or whatever. But here you don't see.
No one read it. I thought no one read it. No one just signed it. No one
Well,
read what you signed.
the judges, if you have a problem, you know, usually don't read it, but when someone read it, you are in a problem. So, well, this is what we try to. We are still facing some things about the for example, how to sign it, and we will talk at the end about the revision of the CPR. But if you can just to come back to the slide, because I want to highlight that
Completely.
this is the first was a framework standard how to create it in general, but we are working now with products. The first smart CE marking for cement, then we get natural stone, and now we are working on aggregates, structural steel, and precast concrete. And the idea is to have a few products to test. And then this might be a good idea or not. We will see. But you need to test it in the market, and that is what we are trying to do now.
Okay, perfect. And let me play the role of the manufacturer here, who is not happy with the responsibility and the digitalization and all that. For example, if you tell me now you issue a PDF, of course you're still responsible for what you send the PDF, but this is let's say is more accessible, no? In a way you can modify quickly or so on. But many people won't even see that XML file, so they are digitally signing or issuing a file with a lot of things that can get them into trouble. Because from seriously, I'm no manufacturer, but if you tell me fully responsibility, I will stop working and just and think about it. So how you would convince them or told to them to say this is better for you? You're gonna actually give a work. You're gonna use the work you make to create those regulations. No?
No, the point is for the PDF, nobody has to convince them because it's a regulation, and the directive which came before is from the '86, so they are more than used to that. That's for granted in a way. But regarding digitalization, where I feel, because I'm not a manufacturer, and they should speak, but is that in a way, they will have to provide digital formats. Many construction companies are already asking for that, public administrations in many places. If you want to create a BIM object with certain type of software, and you go to the consultant or whatever, it costs a lot of money. And for certain products, it has a sense because they have a geometry and they want to sell it and they use it as a marketplace. But for others, don't. And in our case, this format can be created from an Excel file. You just create a Lisp, or you just create a little code and create the XML, or you can even open it with a notepad and put your parameters there because it's an XML. So the idea is that this is a very, very cheap format. And today, from my perspective, it's an additional document. You are responsible for the information in the document you sign, which is the PDF. Here you can sign it yet. So
okay, no, that's a bit interesting. No, so you do it, but you cannot really
I
sign
don't
it.
think Enrique is convinced.
Well, I am convinced on the digitalization. No? I'm just trying to because as we said many times here, that for me the big door to knock down in the digitalization in the construction industry, they are mainly the manufacturers, because those are the ones first who hold more money, who have more power, and one somehow on the first stages of the process change. No, so if we have them on board everything will flow together in a quicker way. That's why I always try to see from the perspective, because I'm convinced, no, you don't need to convince me about the XML files and do digital, of course, because it's useful, no, but for them, like these people, they're already reticent to even issue so other BIM objects or work with new technologies. So, wow, you need to do all these things and put it in an XML file, which I don't even will ever open in my notebook because they won't open it like that. They will just, the technical department will do it. I'm not criticizing. It's just how the things will be, right? So they say, fuck, I'm gonna be responsible for something which is full of codes. I only give people understand, you know.
Yes.
So,
No, it's just a point that they have to get money, and from my perspective, from the an FC object complex and which has some cost, it didn't pay off. So you have to give something that is cheap, that is reliable, and also the advantage in IFC you have the problem that you don't have the products. You have, for example, a BIM, but a BIM, or a structure can be made by several products. So you can't properly store your data here. And here, in a way, you are just what you have in PDF. I will give you in another format, but it's exactly the same and very cheap. So the idea is. Well, it will take a while in a way, because even if manufacturers were okay, then you will have to convince software developers, construction companies. Construction is a complex environment.
Definitely. Well, Aitor mentioned money and cheap, Peter. So we are maybe we are getting to some of your scope.
Getting on my side, so this is good. I'm happy to hear that.
Fantastic. Let's move on with the presentation. There is this statement here that I really like and agree with it. So if you can measure it, you can improve it, or you can even, I will say, you can't use it. Test it in a way that giving me a PDF or a not digital format for me is not able to do anything with that data, with that value. So what are the standard methods to do those measurements and improve it afterwards?
Here we are with not with the BIM committee. We are the Sustainability in Construction Committee. This committee works in 3 levels: buildings, civil engineering works, and to assess the civil engineering works and the buildings, you need the product information. When you probably heard about EPDs, Environmental Product Declaration. These are the methods that you have on the left, EN 15804, and the other standards for that. But what is the problem? That you generate, you have more than 20 indicators for EPDs. Then you have all the stages, the raw materials, the manufacturing of the product, transport to the site, construction, and you have a table with that. You have hundreds of data, and that is just for one scenario. For example, you install the product in a roof, but then you don't install it in a roof. You have it in a wall. So you have another scenario just for the one product, and you have a lot of products in a building, as you can imagine. So it is not possible to do it with paper or with a calculator. You need a software. So to solve that, this year we published a standard with the data templates for EPDs, but it can be used even for other type of information of systems and a complete wall and things like that. And the idea is, it's just a data template. It didn't have a format. In a way, you can use JSON, XML, anything you want. But from Europe, we asked for an annex for SmartC. So we have the SmartC implementation there, because and we might discuss about this at the end. The CE marking we have today is going to change in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. We will see. And we'll include a lot of more environmental information. It has some environmental information, but just a little. It will have a lot. So you can put it in a paper, and you can put it in the packaging of the product. You need a digital format, and there is the connection in a way.
I will invite to some people who are listening to us right now. Like, go to a website for any manufacturer. Just type EPDs for any product. You will be amazed how big those tables are and how impossible it is to read and use those data. Trust me.
The problem, guys. I think the usability of the zero, right? I'm just with the whole, when I'm just saying, nobody thinks about the people who are just using it. And the same thing as you going on this construction site, if you ask the guy who has 7 tracks waiting for him, just all of the track, he said, you know what, just like, let's go, right? Because that's something which is it's about the usability, about the stuff in which the people don't think. It's just I want to go fast, and I want to go just make sure that I will not lose the time with the concrete. We just have the 1 hour, and just it will be 1 hour 5 minutes is out. So I will not spend any single minute just to waste my time on this.
To read those, yeah. And it's true that these EPDs and environmental regulation with those massive tables coming from other norms and blah, blah, they are coming a bit afterwards. They see Merkin and other documents for declaration of performance. So why don't we include them? I mean, we are talking a bit about the same thing here, right? Digitalizing that data and providing in a machine readable format, because no human, we say machine readable because no human is going to read those.
Yes.
Exactly.
No, but many times even the humans will not read the human readable document. That's Peter was saying. So yes, because no, I've worked in EPDs before in between when I was in Aitor and verifying the data, and it's it's quite complex. And I understand. If you go for an EPD now, you will find you see an A1 version of the standard. You will have less than 10 indicators, but now we have nearly 30. And it's growing, and the commission will probably ask for more. So it's you can't manage that amount of information if you don't have a software. It's impossible.
Yeah. This is something also we're facing with the BIM object in general. At the beginning, we think that the more information we give, the better, and it's not like this. We don't need an EPD with 2035 cells with data telling me how much carbon will I throw to the air if I run with a truck of 35 tons during 25 kilometers in a slope of 2 degrees. No, we don't need that detail of simulation. Okay, we need useful things.
Yes, this is not big data. This is not big data. You need meaningful data.
Exactly. So this is the problem, that too much information and not digitalized. So we are on the worst position here. Okay. Let's keep moving forward.
Yeah. This is the standard we mentioned.
Exactly. So for all those EPD, the standard we say, well, there's some words here. I don't want people to get scared, as UIDs, UML diagrams, and the data dictionaries. This is how this ISO, correct me if I'm wrong, okay, they are to create the data templates, but they are for the developers, right?
Yes, this is data table. There are part that even people working around EPDs might use, but in general, the UID, I would go to that because I think it's quite an important topic. You have UIDs. If you have worked in software, you have UIDs usually for internal work inside your software to connect things. But you can also have universal UIDs, which allows machines and databases to connect to each other. So what's the point? Now in Europe, it's mandatory that the computer readable file is human readable for the CE marking. It's no sense, but it's that. So you will have it in text, so computers will have problem to process it. The idea is that you have a unique identifier and you can put whatever you want, but the software know that this is whatever parameter you want to think. Even with the units, with the standard data, the standard that you use, everything, just with you will have 5 as a number, and the computer will know what it is, what units has, and everything like that. This is in an Excel file that you can download from ISO, and is for software developers. But the idea is that you can use, even you can provide as a data template an Excel file and JSON, whatever you want. But with the global unique identifier, the software should know what you are referring to.
The common language for the computer.
Yes. The problem there, what you probably know, they are generated in a way that the probability of a collision is okay. But at the end, it's good to have a centralized place. We don't have it yet. There are companies providing that, for example, Builder or others, that ensures that this unique identifier is really unique, because it might create a problem.
Yeah, for me, it's important that well, the idea you mentioned that we are talking about some identifiers globally or just within your ecosystem of your company. For me, we need to go further. Like, for example, we're going to define the density of a material. No, everyone understands what is the density. We don't need to put density 1, 2, 3 or in different conditions of density. And we assign a tag, which is a global identifier, that sort of 16 characters or something like that, to identify that value, that cell, as a density anywhere on any software. So we don't need to go around and say, hey, this is density. It's already code that is density. The machine also can understand density, but it's easier when you put this long tag of codes on the
No,
parentheses.
when the long you can say density for this material tested according to this standard with this room temperature. You can have everything
in the code.
What we have now. We have a standard for that. And the development also the review for interconnected data dictionaries, because many people have their own dictionary, and how you connect them in a way. Okay, you don't have the same identifier, but the software can understand what the other
this is our problem, that this push of making the dictionary or the classifications on the products and properties, it came through mainly private companies or private groups, or not like government-wise government area focus. So there is now many different classifications and products, and you cannot really have a pure interconnection, interoperability between them. So that's why we need these dictionaries or these global identifiers to say, okay, guys, let's sit and talk the same language. Your code ABC2 will be my code CB3, no? So something like that. That's what we're trying to explain here. But yes, digitalization, no, on the construction industry. Fantastic. Okay, we're gonna get to the last part of the interview. Aitor, the revision on the CCPR. This is the product construction regulation. We talked about it before. This is a very interesting and important topic that will give a lot of headache to all the manufacturers in Europe during the next years. So very important thing to start to pay attention now, because otherwise you will be claiming yourself, fuck, I should do my homework before.
No, it's a headache, or it can be a good news. We will see. Yeah. We have a draft from the Commission dated on the end of March of this year. The version of 2011, which for me was the new regulation, because it's when more or less I started working here. The manufacturer is obliged to provide, for each track that you mentioned, Peter, is obliged to provide a copy of the declaration in paper. So you have 7 tracks, you can tell him, give me 7, which is completely insane, as you can imagine. And for example, that is maintained here. You have to, in a way, they say that you might be an end user, and you, as the consumer, right to have the document you can read, things like that. But on the other hand, there are some topics, and probably, I think, I'm not sure if it's in next slide. Yeah. They are doing some things. This was a joke, more or less. Not a joke, because it's a fact that is included, but they are doing things.
Okay.
And but they are not clear. They are talking about a database, things like that. This is the first report that the European Parliament make on the review of the CPR. They published a report last week, a more updated report. They talk about 2 things, that this should include a smart DOP, which is the smart CE. CE refers to CE marking, and DOP is the declaration of performance. Are 2 documents with the same information. I don't understand why we have 2, but we have 2 with the same information. But it's the same. So they are talking about the same we were talking before. The data of the product should be available in an structured format. And about blockchain, something that I don't like, but it's it's a term that many people use. So they are they're trying to include digitalization, and I think it will be very important for everything. And if we go a little bit more, because I don't remember what I put next, but I think it was that what this is. This is, whereas is without going into details, the whereas in the starting, they explain things in a way, and in articles they make things mandatory. So the Commission, or the Europe, understand that the electronic means are needed, and they propose to create a European database for construction products, with a concept similar to the digital product passport. Will be in the revision of the Eco Design Directive. And if we go to next one, which I think is the last one. Again, we came to the APDs. These are the parameters of the APDs. As you can see, you have a lot. Okay, and you have in all these stages on all the products and everything. So the idea is that these parameters will probably be included in the CE marking. So in this proposal, I think that during the changes that will be made, I think it will be very important if we can achieve a format or something like that that allows manufacturers to include their parameters in a digital format, and that this format can be used on site by the construction company or by anyone. It is yet unclear how that will be done, but I really think that this is a really good opportunity we have in Europe. And the good thing is that if we achieve a format in Europe, again, we will have something like we were talking before about the single market. The same format will be valid in all Europe. And if so when something is valid in the main market, because it's a little bit bigger than the US or yet still even than China, a lot of people will follow, because a lot of countries have a lot of trades and they will have to use it. So achieve something there might be a push for digitalization, I think, worldwide. In Europe for sure, but even worldwide.
And are you aware, Aitor, of any similar path that the Americans committee or Asian or Oceania are taking?
No, really.
Because maybe they are first, and then we need to follow them in Europe.
Yes, probably. Then probably yes, but I really don't know. More focus on Europe, to be honest.
So from here, I want to really highlight again what you said at the beginning with the first slide, the product regulation that from the 2011 issue. They still require by law not to deliver those in paper, right? Until you don't remove that, of course, customer rights and everything, until you don't remove that from a law, we cannot move forward for digitalization. You cannot talk about a smart SIP, XML file, JSON, or whatever, if you still oblige the people to have the rights to
they are
require
obliged under request. Nobody requested. Under request.
Exactly.
In fact, not nobody, because you don't want that paper in your desk. So at the end of the day, nobody. I don't think that nobody will present it in paper. But just the sentence, at least for me, it seems strange.
No, completely.
And just to mention that even if this regulation is published, the Commission after that has what they call delegated acts, which are things that are easy to publish. And there probably, I hope, we will see more digitalization, because I think it's needed. And at the end of the day, if a manufacturer, a construction company, anybody is going to make an investment, they need certainty that this is going to be used. It's going to be useful. They will sell more, or it will be cheaper, something like that. And in construction, which is a very regulated sector, the public administration should take a leading role, let's say.
Yeah. It's as I said, this digitalization part is coming from private or smaller groups. So
we are still, I still don't get it, about this paper, etc.
Sorry, Pete, we didn't hear you properly.
No, I was just saying, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about all of this paper which you guys talking, just how are you collecting this on all of the construction side if this is this obligation? You have to, like, for each track, etc. You have just to get binders, or you have what are you visiting with?
No. At the end of the day, nobody do it. It's just it's your right to ask for it. But I would even remove, personally, I would even remove that right. You have it in PDF, print it if you want. It's even part of resource consumption. You are killing trees for something
to deliver things you want to read.
Yes, it's at the end. I don't know anybody that asks for it in paper, but as said, I don't like the sentence very much.
Let me picture now to wrap up all the interview, mostly the last part. I'm gonna picture the ideal world as we are describing for the digitalization. Let's see if you like, no? So I'm sitting as the facility manager on my construction site, and the 7 trucks arrive every 15 minutes, as Peter says. So I have to go on a schedule, and the first truck arrived with a material A, cement or whatever, no, or concrete or whatever. I'm gonna check if that is the correct material. It comply with the regulations of my construction site. Of course, with the content so on, they will be checked beforehand. I expect, and we're gonna relay here something we already talked on the BIM Cafe with Ignacy. I remember also Ivan. First of all, everyone has a phone. Okay, everyone has a phone, and on the site, and when you go and write that truck, okay, perfect. Give me the QR code. I scan the QR code. I check the QR code, so that's open the XML file, and of any software application, whatever, it will match of those requirements. Okay, this is the cement I ordered this day. Perfect, it's correct. It came 7 kilos. Okay, perfect, it's correct. Blah 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 blah. And I move forward with something we already discussed with Ivan. Okay, I'm going to make this small publicity with for other interviews I have here with Ivan Gomez from BT Lab, that he was mentioning we need to deliver also processes, not just information, also processes. So with that scan, I also get perfect. This cement goes delivered to the third floor because it's gonna be part of the beams or the pillars or the ceiling of that floor. It needs to be placed under this room and stored and installed the following day, and when the sedimentation happens. I'm just making it up, okay? And all this with scanning my code, scanning the code on the with a big XML file. And on the top of that, all the EPD regulation and all the carbon that this cement emits to the to the atmosphere during this process from the factory to the site is already there. I don't want to check it. I don't really care because it's nothing to do with my construction site, but it's already there, included on that. Is
Yes,
there where we
and
want to
can be
go?
used.
No?
Yes, and it can be used for other calculation after that.
Okay,
On your site
exactly.
or other manufacturer, for example, in Spain, concrete, ready-mix concrete manufacturer has to check, and I was an editor for that. We have to check that they check that the cement and the aggregates and things like that were when they arrive. So they have to put something in a list or something like that. Now you can just scan it and just say this guy, which is in charge, the quality manager, because I have the email of the code of his phone. Check it at that time. It was compliant. It's stored in the database, and they only have to do that. And then I can go to the log and say, okay, you to check all the materials, and it will be. And I can even do it. I don't have to go to their factory to do that. I can even do it if they give me access.
Yes.
So
So how do you feel this, Peter? Do you like our new construction site?
Yeah, no, I think if we will have some of the tools as well in terms of the handheld machines, etc., which will be dirt averse, and it will just be, you can drop them and you can use them. I think that's fantastic. So I think that makes sense. The others, I think it will be, it's still user friendliness. I think it's far away, guys. Okay.
Yeah, completely. Because all these things that we're talking about, the digitalization, example, formatization, format, people who on the site don't need to know all this. No, this is like sorry, the regulation we were discussing before, which are for software developers. We don't need to know about all of them, but it's important that they are there. No? So we need to focus, as we said many times, make technology easy for the end user, and they know, okay, I scan this code and I get 5 green ticks. That means it's good to go to this place. No, this is the ideal objective of this. I'm please European Union. Don't break it.
No, we'll see that. But no, and I just want to mention because we're recording in English because probably people from abroad will see it. Going back to the beginning, to invite people to participate in the development of these standards in TC 442 or Subcommittee 17 in ISO. They're really good and sound professionals from different fields. Not all of them are. There are software developers. There are people from the public administration, and from a personal perspective, I think it's like going to the University of BIM. It's a really nice place to be. It's a really nice place to know people working in your field. And to do that, well, you can try through your national standardization body if anyone is interested.
So, for example, let's put the hypothesis I want to go. If I'm basically living in Spain, I need to go through UNE to get to those committees. I contact UNE and say I want to be part of this committee for these laws or this development, and you guys will put me over, or do I need to fulfill some certain requirements of, I don't know, education, experience, and so on?
No, the point is you have to be accepted in the national committee, which at least in here is usually the case. But then to go to the Europe or ISO, then we have, and in Spain we have to make a vote if there are many people, because you can go 10 people, and then we decide. But in general, you will be able to be, and now it's easier, at least for countries like ours that are not far, but Brussels is not so close as from Germany, for example, and travel expenses and things like that. Not that we work online. It's well, in the morning you can go to the meeting, and after that you keep working, and it's fine.
Fantastic. So invitation over for everyone, go and be part of the other committees.
Yes.
Perfect, Aitor. So we nearly nailed the hour, so it's fantastic. We covered all the topics. Yeah. Thank you so much for such a.
Still have money.
Sorry, Peter, second.
Sorry, I haven't still found the money, but that's
Ah.
okay. I think I found a more standard, which means more cost for me. So, wow. Okay.
No, at least we're trying to see here that the standard they want to make it easier, no, we need to make it easier for the users. So let's see if with
Let's
this we can make the people on the construction side again using all these digital tools in a clearer way, and make it more valuable at the end. Well, Aitor, a big thank you. Gracias for be here, part of us, and it will be a pleasure to see you around our BIM Cafe next episode. So if you're part of the member, it would be great. And that's all. All the best. We keep in touch, and thank you so much for this time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. It was great to have you here.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
No.
Bye, ciao.